Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to the Smash Up 10th anniversary unboxing. So, crazy that Smash Up has been around for 10 years. It's a decade now. It's a special collector's, edition. Kind of a good way to say it. It's going to have a couple new stuff, couple old stuff. There's a lot of talk online about whether you think this is worth it or not. And that's 100% up to you. That's what the point of this unboxing is. So you can decide whether it's worth for you picking up for the extra content versus how much it is. Now, I believe it is a limited time thing. They're only going to print it once, so that whatever copies are out there, what they're printing, I don't think they're going to keep doing reprints. It's not going to come out again. So I don't know if that means that these other factions are going to show up in something later on, or if you miss out on this, you're out completely. I can't speak to that. I am not the game designer. But yeah, so what's in here is we're going to get four factions with 20, full sets. We're going to get new Titan cards, which is exciting. Plus we're going to get some extra new game mode, some extra better components, and things like that. Plus, this box is really cool. So this box has kind of printed on all the different faction icons. Would have been cooler, in my opinion, if they would have had them big enough so that each one up to this point only appeared once instead of they do start duplicating because it starts with the UFO and then the UFO starts back down here. Not a big deal, but that just would have been more cool, in my opinion. Yeah, kind of hold on. So, what they have right now, it should have had 14 sets before this. So this would be the 15th full set, not including the property sets. This is not including Disney, Marvel, or Munchkin. So they have 14 sets, 71 different factions. So that's crazy. 2 of them are the All-Star ones, so they're the Mix Mash ones. But others have 71 different ones. Plus they've had 5 mini expansions. So a total technically of 20-ish expansions, because they may have also had the 2 boxes, the geeky and the bigger, geekier box set, which also had some extra factions in there. There's been 32 Titans total, so out of these 71 factions were just about at half of them now have different ones. I don't know if they eventually intend to release one for every single one. It would definitely be cool if they did. Just because that way any mode could pick it up and play it, but I know they're trying to use them as sort of bouncy mechanisms as well. Then with the property sets, there's 3 of them. It's like 24 more factions. So if you add them in there, so if you picked up Smash Up Marvel, Smash Up Disney, and Smash Up Munchkin, you'd have a total of 95 different factions with this set. Of course, if you've bought in every single thing that's come out, you are also going to end up with multiple things because the fan set, or is it fans? Geeks. The Geek faction was in both of the big boxes, the regular Geeky box set and then the bigger Geekier box set. So if you picked up the first one, then picked up the second one later, you have a duplicate of that. The Sheep faction that's in here was originally released separate as a free promotion. You could also, I believe, buy it off their web store. So if you picked that up before, you're also going to get that in this set as well, unfortunately. So what do we all have in here? So we're going to kind of just look at what content. We're going to get this big old art book. I'm not going to go over this too much. This is just a thing kind of talking about each different faction, a little bit of information on where they're designed and the artists behind them. But it's a neat, actual, cool thing to have that does go all the way up to the current stuff. Yes, I said, but the only thing I wish they would have they skipped was the Titans. They didn't really talk about them. They just showed like a page of the Titans. I wish they went into more description on them. Although I honestly, like, just reading through some of these, I wish there was a better guide, maybe explaining talking about the references of everything that came through. But just for a quick little art book, this is really neat. Outside of that, you're gonna kind of look at it once before I read through it. set it aside, not touch it again. There is a new game mode called Big Base Mode, so we'll go over that in just a moment. We'll try to look at what there is. There is the Titans / Dividers, which is all the new Titans, plus the Dividers for the 4 new groups. There are your factions and your new bases, and we'll go over each one of these individually. We're going to get a Goblin coin. So this is used for first player token, or other things. It's more for the big base mode, because you have to keep track of who the first player was in that, as well as it can be used for the Goblin faction, which is why it shows the Goblin them. It's actually a fairly solid coin. Like, I've seen pictures, I assumed it was just like a little cheap, like cardboard coin or whatever. Like, no, it's solid plastic. I think it'll last a decent while. Then the last thing we have in the box, which is something I've been waiting forever for, are baseboards. So, way back in the day, Tabletop, the video game, I don't know, maybe it was on YouTube, but with Will Wheaton, they played this. They made up their own ones of these, and I've always wanted to do that. I've just never went and did it for whatever reason. Now you can actually pick these up. So you can put your base in there, and it has your break points around the outside. So that way, you can keep track of your stuff very easily with every single thing, player A, player B, and there's 5 of them for up to 5 players. And on the back of each one, it basically just explains that's how you play it. The basis of the game, or more or less. So it's actually kind of fun there. And the idea is just the only thing that does suck, and people have pointed this out as well, is that you get these, but they don't give you any counters. It would have been nice if they gave you some sort of little thing to track this, or if they would have been a little bit bigger. So you could have used like a coin or a VP token or something around the outside. Being this small, you're almost going to have like a resource cube or something like that. Or, I mean, you could use like a die or something. It's be hard to make sure you track it the right amount. But they recommend putting 2 on there. One to start at 0 to keep track of as the points go up. And the second one for whatever the break point of the base is. For example, if we have the Hall of Fame, you put 1 at 20, so that way you know that you have to reach 20 to end. But then if anything changes that during the game, you can move the end result very quickly. So there's that. That's definitely cool. There's the inside of the box, nothing super spectacular. Everything's going to kind of slosh around in there. So if you just pick this up, can you play the game? Sure. It has 4 locations, 4 factions. You can play it like a 2-player game. It's about the equivalent of a small box set. But yeah, there's not really a great holding thing in here. So this is probably assuming you own, or by this point for picking this up, you already own enough of the game that you're going to have some other way to store it. Which I do have the big geekier box set. So at the end of the video, we'll look at that and see how well all of these fit in there. So before we jump in to all of the new cards, sorry for the nothing on screen there, we're going to look at the new big base mode game. Because this might determine some people whether they want to pick this up or not, versus the factions. So we're going to look at this really quick. Now, I'm not going to spend a ton of time reading all of this, but essentially what this is it sets it up so instead of having multiple locations everyone's playing at, the gist of it is everyone plays at this one location. So you're going to put one base here, everyone's going to be using that ability, and then you play rounds. So player 1, 2, 3, 4 all go, and that's round 1. When everyone's done, you go to round 2. Then you go to round 3. When round 3 is done, everyone scores round 1. Then you start over. You play 3 rounds, then you score round 2. Play 3 rounds, score round 3. So, and how the scoring works, then at the end of the rounds, you are going to switch out the bases. So you are going to play multiple different bases. So that'll change up how things work. But you get your overall VP score. So whoever has the most during scoring round 1 gets 3 points. 2 points, 1 point, 0 points, and then so on and so forth. And then the second condition is whoever has the most VP per side will get 1 point, and then every other one gets 4. So now you see each side has 3 different spots. So when you're playing, this is one of the biggest differences to how this works. So when you play, if I'm player A and I want to play on the south side, I can play either spot 1, 2, or 3. Or there's an imaginary 4th spot you can play to well, but you're probably going to want to play one of these 3 first. So if I play a card to spot number 1, I know I suddenly have an ongoing ability that says I have +1 power here. Now, if I play any card to the south side, I can only play them to that spot. I can't touch the other 2. So the first player to play to one side gets to choose of the 3 options which they do. Second player gets to choose second. Third one gets to choose third. So your overall goal is focused more on getting your higher VP versus getting that 1 VP per side, because that, dominating on one side is not going to make that big of a difference. It's 1 victory point. You want to be winning overall. But then each side's kind of treated as like how an old base would be. If you affect anything that would happen at a base, you're affecting what would happen on the south side. If I play a card that says I can do something to someone at this base, it's only stuff that's on the south. Same thing with the west, north, and east. So you're trying to just play there. If you have to play a card that attaches to another player's card, you can play it on their card. Otherwise, you always keep all your cards in one thing. Yeah, so that's essentially how it goes. And they're going to have different abilities. I'm not going to go through. I'll hold them here so you can read them. I'm not going to read through all of them right now. I will just show you. You can see what they'll all do. They're all a little bit different. On occupation means when you first play a card there, you get that ability. Ongoing means you constantly get it. So most of them are, the first one you either get 1 or 2 power. And then when you first play an ability, you get something for putting an empty card there. And then after that, nothing happens. This is another downfall that people did say, is all the rules are on the back of the board. Now, you're not playing cards directly onto the board, but you do have to put your VP tokens here to keep track of your points. So if you forget how something works, you have to pick the board up and flip it over. So this really should have been like an extra rule sheet or something like that, but it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, so here's a couple of the changes. So the base card changes after each round. Only its ability is used. So you go a full round with 1 card. So basically playing 3 bases. Players' turns have a start, play, and they play cards. So that's what you do. You start your turn. You play your cards. There's no direct end step. So all the players, the first player takes their turn. Then each player takes their turn. So everyone will play their cards. After all 4 players have played, then you score. You check for the scoring, do all that. Each period has 3 rounds. And then each player draws 2 cards, gets down to 10. And then you do the end of the turns. So the end of the round, so anything that ends at the end of the turn or end of the turn effect then happens at that point. So basically, all 4 players get to play all their cards down. Then end of the turn effects happen. So it does change up a little bit how some of the factions will work. It's definitely an interesting way to play the game. It's something different. So if you're kind of just, you want something a little bit different than a normal thing, it is that way. Yeah, so I'm not going to go over, I don't want to go over all of this because I don't want this to be a 3-hour long video. There's a lot of information on here. But it says that cards abilities on the base. As far as the card's concerned, a base is located on one side. It has slots in. So the south side is that base. North side is that base. And then there are some abilities that are useless. Since I started the game, if you draw any cards that basically if you determine or people determine they're not going to be of any use, something like that just affects VP points, like hey, it gives you or ups the break point. There's no break point in this game. You can choose to discard it and draw new cards. And it also just says to make sure you, adjust the game as you need. There's the other thing they do show in here I just want to point out. Here's showing to play your cards facing you. So player A is in this side, all his cards will face one way, B's, C's, and D's. That way when you're looking at the board, like all of player A's cards will be this way. If he puts them on this side, he'll still play them over here. He plays them up here, he'll play them this way. Then player B will play all their cards like this. So it just that way you're looking at them. That's the only thing I can see that could maybe get a little bit confusing, is trying to remember whose cards are whose, versus, in the other game you can play them on left, right, up, down, angle anyhow. So it's an interesting new mode. So if that's something you're interested in, there we go. Again, I didn't go into super detail on that. If you do want more detail, let me know and I can do a separate video on it. I just wanted to show that off. So we're going to get into the cards, the brand new factions. So first up, we're going to go over, sheep. So sheep were available as a giveaway promotion originally, and then they're available as a separate pack on their web store. So if you haven't picked them up yet, this is a great way to get them. If you have them, I guess you're going to have a second set. But again, it's kind of like I said before, the geeky set, or the geeks. If you picked up the first box when it came out, storage box, you got that, it's awesome. And then if you pick up the second one, because you wanted the better storage, you got a second copy. There's not a lot you can do with that. But we do get the big divider with it. Alright. And then we're going to have 4 copies of the flock, which are minions is ongoing. After another minion moves from here to another base, move this minion there as well. The sheep are all about moving around. We have 3 copies of the black sheep ongoing. After a minion is played here, move this minion to another base. 2 copies of ram. Talent, move this minion to another base. You may return a minion of 2 power or less at that base to its owner's hand. And then we have Little Bo Peep. Ongoing, other players cannot move minions to or from here. Talent, move one of your minions to here. 2 copies of To Follow or Not. Choose another player, choose a random action in their discard pile, play it as an extra action and return it, draw a card. In sheep's clothing, play a minion. Ongoing, after another minion moves from here to another base, you may move this minion there as well and destroy this action. 2 copies of You Shall Pass. Move one of your minions to another base. Draw a card. You may play an extra action. Wood for sheep. Choose another player. Reveal a random card in their hand. You may place a card from your hand into their hand to play the revealed card as an extra card. Otherwise, return it. Shearing. Play on your minion. Draw a card. Ongoing, this minion is -2 power. Return this action to your hand at the start of your turn. It's kind of a neat way to get extra power. Like, you return it, you draw a card, but you have to get less power and you can always put it back. On the lamb, choose a base where you have a minion and another player. Move that minion and all of that player's minions to a single other base. Counting sheep, play on a base. Ongoing, after the power of another player's minion increases, your minion here gains +1 power until the end of turn. And our last one is Hello Dolly. Special, play after another player plays an action, copy the ability of that action. The sheep have a lot of stuff where you get to use other players' abilities, copying them, which is kind of like the technical term for a sheep is being someone that follows other people. And that also goes along with the movement ability. They like to stay in a herd and that, concept. So they get to move around like that. Alright, so I went through them kind of quickly because I've already done those before. Up next, we're going to look at the brand new faction, the Mermaids. So the Mermaids should be pretty fun. So we're going to get 4 copies of Siren. Ongoing, other players' minions here add 1 less power to their controller's total. three copies of Charmer, of course, Little Mermaid inspired. Talent, you may move this minion to another base, then you may move another player's minion of 3 or power or less to this minion's base. So you can move somewhere and then bring someone with you. 2 copies of Temptress, which is kind of looks Ursula-ish, but maybe not. Ongoing, if one or more minions of the other players have moved to here during this turn, this minion has +2 power till the end of turn. And then we have our final one is the Mermaid Queen. Moving another player's minion to here, or choose a minion here. If it has 3 or less power, take control of it till the end of turn. So this is all about moving as well, but where the sheep were more or less like you move somewhere, and then the sheep move with them. This one's all about you getting to move other players' people, or getting bonuses for bringing them to you. So it's kind of, instead of going somewhere else, is bringing something to you. We have 2 copies of Charmed. Choose a minion of 3 or less power. You may move it to another base where you have a minion. It doesn't add its power to its controller's total until the end of the next turn, playing extra action. So I love this too. So here we have mermaid from different countries as well. We've had dark mermaids. We've had the sirens, or the ugly mermaids. We've had the black queen mermaid. We've had Asian mermaids with a samurai back there. So that actually makes that really fun. You get different variety. Deserted Island. That might be a reference to Lost. I'm not sure. Playing a base, ongoing minions here do not add your power to the controller's total. Let's destroy this card at the start of your turn. Shipwreck Cove. Play on a base. Ongoing, your minions each here have +1 power. Special. After this base scores, you may transfer this card to another base. Toll Bay. Choose a base. Draw a card for each other player's minion there. Siren Song. Choose a base. Move one of each other player's minions there to one other base where you have a minion. Becalmed Shores. Play on a base. Ongoing, other players' minions have -1 power. Talent, transfer this action to another base. 2 copies of Captive Audience. Choose a base. One of your minions there gains +1 power till the end of turn. For each minion there you don't own, play an extra action. On the artwork here, we can see we got an undead, a Martian, a ninja, and I'm not sure that very last one on the back there is, but it could be a skeleton. Kind of hard to tell. Our final mermaid card is Ultimate Song. Choose a base where you have a minion. Each other player must play a minion there of 3 power or less as an extra minion, or reveal a hand with no such minions. Cancel those minions' abilities until the end of the turn. You may play an extra minion there and an extra action. Yeah, so the mermaids are all about they gain bonuses for having other things there, or they shut off other players' powers, but they're trying to bring stuff to them. So if you have another class or another faction that revolves around having bonuses for things moving to the area, this could work really well with that. Or if you need to take control, hey, I'm going to bring everyone to this one, and then that base can score whatever. Well, I can take control of the other bases with the other faction. It's could be a definitely interesting combo. All right. Our next new one are skeletons. We're going to have some more undead characters. Love some skeleton. So we have 4 copies of Returned Ones. It says, you may bury this minion here. Special. After this card is uncovered, you may uncover another one of your buried cards here. So this is kind of another slight flaw in this set, is they're kind of assuming that everyone already owns a bunch of the stuff while you pick up the 10th anniversary edition, because they don't explain what buried means. And if I remember correctly, it's you can put this card, play it face down, and then you can play it face uncover to play it face up. But again, I don't remember off the top of my head, so I'm gonna pause for a second and look it up. Alright, so yeah, bury says to bury a card, place it face down beside your base facing you. Don't show it to others unless the card says to bury it itself. You may only bury cards of ability allows it. A buried card is not affected by cards of minions, actions, or other cards. Basically, they're at a location, but they don't contribute to anything. And then you can play uncover one of your buried cards at the start of your turn. A player must also uncover a card when the ability allows it. So at the beginning of your turn, you can uncover one for free. Otherwise, you can play abilities to do it. And it resolved as if it's being played like normal. For scoring purposes, they basically have no other presence. Yeah, so that's what I thought. Basically, you play them face down. They don't do anything, but at the beginning of your turn, you can flip them over unless they have one. So like this guy says, you may bury this minion here. So you play them, you can flip them face down. It says special, after this card is uncovered, you may uncover one of your other buried cards here. So the return ones will let you uncover multiple things in your turn as long as you plan it right. The keyword here, though, is you may bury this thing, and it says after it's uncovered, you may uncover another card. So the may keyword means you don't have to do that ever. Alright, so next up we have 3 Revenants. Special, on your turn you may bury this card from your discard pile. Use only 1 Revenant ability per turn. So yeah, this is a delay to get a free character. 2 copies of Gravetender. Ongoing, once per turn. After one of your other cards is buried or uncovered, draw a card. And our last minion is the Lord of Bones. Ongoing, after another minion is uncovered, you may place a +1 power counter on it. Talent, bury a card from your hand here or uncover one of your buried cards here. So that's definitely fun. 2 copies of Spooky Scary. Bury a minion of 3 or less power from your discard pile. Draw a card. So getting to put stuff from your discard pile is really great, because after a base scores, you still have the option of being able to use these guys quick. 2 copies of Grave Goods. Bury a card from your hand. You may discard or bury a card, or bury another one, or uncover one of your buried cards. If it is a minion, place 2 +1 power counters on it. So specifying on this is because it says bury a card from your hand. You can bury action cards. You can bury minion cards. It doesn't always have to be a minion. So that's actually kind of fun. You can bury either one. We have place them down. Bury up to 3 minions from your discard pile with a total of 6 power or less. Graveyard. Play on a base. Talent. Uncover one of your buried minion cards here. If it is a minion, you may play a +1 power counter on it. Hearse Fleet. Move any number of your buried cards from one base to another. That's funny. Especially, you may play this card before the base scores. Move up to 2 of your buried cards from 2 or from that base instead. Gravestones. Play on a base. Ongoing, after a minion is uncovered here, you may place a +1 power counter on it. Special, after this base scores, bury this card at another base. That is great. Keep using that. Burst forth. Special, before bases score, uncover one of your buried cards here. And dig them up. Choose a base, uncover up to 3 of your buried cards here. Yeah, so buried cards can be definitely fun, because they can give you like surprises. Your opponent won't know what's coming or which card's popping out. But the downside is it doesn't contribute directly to it, and since you can only flip up 1 automatically every turn, so if you can play like 3 or 4 and have a bunch of stuff that let you chain, triggering a bunch to uncover, you could quickly score a base very, very fast. But it's also the downside. If you have 3 or 4 cards waiting there, and then one of your opponents plays enough stuff to break the base while your cards are still buried, then you're not getting any points for any of them, and you lose all of them. So it could be a double-edged sword there. Yeah, definitely a fun mechanic to play with. Then our last sort of new faction is World Champs. So they previously released the All-Star set, which is a mix match of a bunch of the older sets based around basketball. This one's based around soccer, American soccer, or every other country football. Um, so what it is, it's going to have every card is going to be a card from a different faction, except for the purposes of this, they're all still considered world champs. Still have the world champ faction, but this is Rainbow Girl. So you're getting the different character, the 20 cards. They're all from different sets, so their abilities aren't going to all necessarily work 100% in tandem, but it can make some interesting combinations. So we have Rainbow Girl, who's from down here, I'll say what set they're from. They're from the Magical Girls from the Big in Japan set. Let me zoom in a bit more so you guys can read that easier, and then make my camera zoom. It doesn't want to focus. There we go. So your other minions here gain +1 power till the end of turn. We have the Mummy. So ongoing after this base scores, you may bury this minion in another base. So the mummies work really well with could work well with the skeletons, or was complementary. Ancient Egyptians in the Oops, You Did It Again set. Calicoin. You may place a +1 power counter on another minion here from 80 creatures. Samurai Chan. Ongoing after this minion goes to the discard pile from play, draw a card from the Samurais. We have some 3-cost ones. We have Diva. Ongoing, once each turn when a standard action directly affects one or more of your other minions here, you may choose this minion to be affected the same way. From Disco Dancers. Iki the Turtle. You may place this card from your hand into another player's hand to draw 2 cards from the Anasazi Tales. Shield Maiden. Reveal the top card of another player's deck if it is an action or minion of 3 or less. Place it in your hand, otherwise return it. From the Viking set. Stoneford. Search your deck for an action and place it in your hand. From Vigilantes. Aramis. Ongoing, once during a turn after you play an action that directly affects this minion, you may play an action that directly affects this minion as an extra action from the Musketeers set. The Sheriff. Special, before this base scores, this minion may duel another player's minion here, destroy the losing minion from Cowboys. So those are all our different minions, and then we'll look at our actions. We have Fighting Spirit Prize from Sumo Wrestlers. Draw 2 cards and place 2 +1 counters on total on your minions. Smart Setup. Play on another player's minion. Ongoing. After the first time each turn a minion is played here, draw a card from the Luchador set. The Kaiju Conflict. Play 2 extra actions from Kaiju. It's Blitzing Time. One or more of your minions gains +3 power till the end of turn from Mega Troopers. So Shark Tattoo. Play on one of your minions, place a +1 power counter on it. Ongoing at the start of your turn. If this is your only minion here, place a +1 power counter on this minion from Polynesian Voyagers. Special, after you play your first action on your turn, you may play this card as an extra action. One of your minions gains +1 power till the end of your turn. You may place this card back into your hand instead of a discard pile from the Mounties. Fast as Lightning. Choose a minion until the end of the turn, it gains +2 power, and if it would go to the discard pile, it is returned to its owner's hand instead. Bewitched. Play on a minion. Ongoing, this minion has +2 power. If this minion leaves play, transfer this action to another minion from Rushing Fairy Tales. Mouse, Bird, and Sausage. Choose up to 2 minions of the same faction at the base. They could gain +2 power each until the end of turn from Grim Fairy Tales. And High Speed Chase. Playing a base, talent, transfers action to another base, can move one of your minions from here to there. That minion gains +3 power till the end of turn. So what you are going to notice is the theming of the sets. Almost all of these are from that 70s expansion, World Tour Culture Shock, World Tour International Incident, and Big in Japan. So I think all of them are just from those. There's some from Oops, You Did It Again. But yeah, they try to keep them from those specific expansions, which kind of also works because any of the 4 from each one are meant to kind of play together. So like their abilities were kind of already somewhat at least similar. And then all these sets kind of came out. I think they're like the last 4 sets that came out like in a row. So between this and the other set we've had covered, so there's 1 for each card and there's 20 cards. That means we have 40 of the sets, but I think in the first All-Star, Geeks compromised 2 of them cards, so that'd be 39. So we're not quite having an All-Star set for every single card yet, but that definitely means they can make another one. The question is what other team game could they do? They have baseball left. You do a baseball themed set. Or hockey might be another one. So like maybe one of those 2. Or it also could be even somewhat interesting as well is do one that's like just like an Olympic set. Where you have just each team compete, different characters competing in different Olympic events. That could also be kind of fun. But yeah, so this is kind of just a fun mix match if you want to just do something like I think that they realized people could do on their own. Like you could take all your sets and decide instead of just mashing 2, what if I mashed everything together? So this is an interesting way to just do that without having to tear your decks apart and figure them out. Alright, then we have locations. So locations are kind of tied to each theme, or each faction, but they're not like listed on there. So you have the pasture, which goes with the sheep. After your first time you move a minion to this base each turn, move another minion from there to here. And Sheep Shrine. After this is played, each player may move one of their minions to here. If played during setup, place it and shuffle it into the deck. For Mermaids, we have Mermaid Pool. On your turn, if you have a minion here, you may move another player's minion to here. And Mermaid Reef. During your turn, other players' minions here add 1 less power to their controller's total. Skeletons get Boneyard. Once during your turn, after a minion owned of 3 power or less goes to the discard pile from a base, you may bury it here. And the Ossuary. On your turn, you may bury a minion of 3 power or less from your discard pile here. And our World Champs get Arena. After the first time you play a minion here during your turn, you may play an extra action or draw a card. And Hall of Fame. The first minion you play here during your turn gains +2 power till the end of turn. Then the last location we're going to get is Deep Reef Crag. So this is a print version. You could go to the AEG's website and print this off. It was a promo tied into their Dead Reckoning game. Just kind of cool. They just added it as a physical card, so if someone didn't have this, be a great way to get that. If you didn't know about it, now you have an extra one. When this base scores, the total power here is equal to the base's breakpoint. The winner gains 1 additional VP. There we go. So that's kind of fun. All right, so those are all our different regular factions. Then we are going to have the Titans. So the Titans are going to have the dividers that look like any of the other dividers we have. So they double as that as well. And on the back here a little bit specifies what sector. So the dinosaurs are from the core Smash Up set. And we have four Titanosaurus. If you want more Titan rules, go check out my video for how the Titans work. I'm not going to repeat them all here, just because it's a little bit extra and this video is already getting long. So special, on your turn, if you have not played a minion, you may destroy one of your minions to play this Titan on its base. Place +1 power counters on it equal to the power of destroyed minion. Ongoing, once per turn, after you have played an action that directly affects one or more minion, you may place a +1 power counter on one of those minions and or this Titan. Talent, if this Titan has 4 or more +1 power counters on it, draw a card. Yes, this guy, you can destroy other things to play one, to gain a bunch of extra power counters, and then, keep playing power cards. It's going to keep boosting them, making stronger, and drawing more cards. That's what dinosaurs need. Also, from the core set, we're going to get the Invisible Ninja for the Ninja faction. Special, on your turn, if this Ninja was not in play at the start of your turn, you may discard a card to play as Titan at a base where you have a minion. Ongoing, once per turn, after you destroy another player's card or return one of your minions to your hand, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck. Draw one, shuffle the other into your deck. Special, at the start of your turn, you may destroy this Titan to play an extra minion with a power of 3 or less. So here's a big difference on how some of the Titans work. Because the dinosaur one is definitely going to gain more power, gain some card advantage, which is very dinosaur. They want to be big, they want to be beefy. And having power counters on it means it's also going to contribute to breaking the bank. The Ninja, on the other hand, this guy kind of hides and gives you cards. Lets you look at cards, gives you advantages. But he doesn't contribute to the base at all. Alright, then we have from Killer Plants, which is from Awesome Level 9000 expansion, the Killer Kagazu. It's like this creeping grass mold. So it says, special, at the start of your turn, if this Titan is not in play, place a +1 counter on it. On your turn, if this Titan has 3 or more counters on it, you may play it. Keeping up to 6 counters on it. Ongoing, after this Titan leaves play, shuffle up to 2 minions from your discard pile into your deck or draw 2 cards. Talent, destroy this Titan to play an extra minion from your discard pile with a power equal to or less than the number of +1 counters on it. This is kind of neat. So it starts off, it grows. When it has at least 3, put it into play up to 6. Then at any point you can destroy it to get somewhere between 3 to 6 cost thing from your graveyard back. You basically get a free extra play out of it. And then its ongoing ability, it says when it leaves play, so when you destroy and play something, you can also shuffle 2 of your minions to your discard pile or draw 2 cards. So you can resurrect some old stuff or get some better advantage. From Monster Smash, the Mad Scientists, we're going to get the Bride. Special, at the start of your turn, you may choose 2 effects and do them in any order to different minions to play this Titan. Place a minion you own from your hand or discard pile into the box. Destroy one of your minions or remove a +1 power counter from one of your minions. So destroying your minions or removing a +1 power counter are probably the better ones. But worst case is you can destroy something. Or basically destroy it. You're placing it in your box and getting rid of it. But that might not even be a terrible thing either, in case you have like a card that, this card doesn't really help me, like maybe the factions mixed together, and that card's not really helping you. Get rid of it. Less cards, draw those stuff quicker. Ongoing, once per turn, after you place or remove a power counter from one of your minions, draw a card. And then talent, place a +1 power counter on one of your minions, or remove 2 power counters total from your minions to play an extra action. Ooh, so that's definitely fun. Place extra counters, remove 2 for extra actions, and then if you remove one, you get to draw a card. So card advantage is definitely nice. Then we have superheroes from It's Your Fault. And they're going to get the Everything Glove, which is, of course, a reference to the Infinity Gauntlet. Titan's also sort of funny because Thanos is the Mad Titan. Special, after one of your minions is destroyed, you may play this Titan at its base. Ongoing, your minions of 3 power or less here are not affected by other players. And talent, play an extra minion here with a power of 2 or less, or draw a card. So this is kind of just good work to get your secret identity cards out quicker, and then you can transform into your bigger, powerful superheroes. We have Sharks from It's Not Your Fault. And we're going to get the Helicorpion special. When this Titan is not in play, at the start of your turn or after a minion is destroyed, place a counter on this Titan. If there are 4 or more counters on it, you may remove the counters to play it. Once per turn, after you destroy any player's minion, you may either move this Titan to that minion's base and add its power to your total there until the end of the turn, or place a +1 power counter on this Titan. Okay, so cool. So after you destroy stuff, you get make him stronger, and then talent. Shuffle a minion of 3 power or less from your discard pile into your deck, or search your deck and your discard pile for a Mako and place it in your hand. Nice, so you get some different effects there to help you get stuff out. Also from It's Your Fault, we're going to have Tornadoes. We're going to have a Category 5. Special, after you move 2 or more minions in a turn, you may play this Titan on a base where you have a minion. Ongoing, after 1 or more of your minions moves from here, place a +1 power counter on them. And then talent, move this Titan to another base, or place a +1 power counter on this Titan. Yeah, so this guy likes to move around. After you move, you put power counters on them, and you can move this guy around. This guy works really well with sheep. Tornado sheep might be an interesting deck to play. Alright, our next one is Grannies from What Were We Thinking? And we are going to get Great Grandma. Special, on your turn, if you have no Titan in play, you may say either action or minion and reveal the top or bottom 2 cards of your deck. If both are that type, play this Titan. Return them in the same order. Ongoing, after reveal or look at 1 or more cards in your deck, you may give 1 of your minions +1 power till the end of turn. And talent, reveal the bottom card of your deck. If it is a minion with 3 power or less, play it here as an extra minion, otherwise return it. Oh, so basically, use the grandmas to stack your deck, and then use this to gain bonuses for stacking your deck. Definitely nice. Kung Fu Fighters from that 70s expansion. We're going to get Sifu. Special, on your turn, if you have 2 or more +1 power counters on your minions, you may play this Titan and transfer 2 or more +1 power counters from your minions to it. Ongoing, when you transfer 1 or more power counters to a minion, you may place an additional +1 power counter on that minion. And talent, transfer a +1 power counter from 1 of your minions to another minion, or place a +1 power counter on a minion that does not have one. This is all about just moving your power counters around where you need them. This is not bad at all. We have some Cowboys from Oopsie Did It Again. We're going to get Peso Bill. Special, when you become the challenger in a duel, you may discard a card to play this Titan there. Do not resolve any Titan clashes until after the end of the duel. Ongoing, during duels here, other players may not move minions from here or return them to a player's hand. Ongoing, after you win a duel, draw a card. So the first ability is more or less, when you're in a duel, you can play this card, and then you get your ongoing ability, at least until the end of the phase, then the Titans have to fight it out. It says, during duels, other players may not move minions from here, or return them to a player's hand. So basically, you're making the duels fair. Hey, you can't add or subtract people from this battle. And after you win a duel, draw a card. So it's all about just making sure you play them duels. Now, I don't remember if anybody other than the Cowboys has the duel mechanic off the top of my head. So if it's just the Cowboys, this, obviously you're only going to use it with the Cowboys, but if it was with other ones, that'd be kind of more fun. Then we have Ancient Egyptians from the Oopsie Did It Again, and we're going to get the Sphinx. This would be our 11th Titan in this set. Special, at the start of your turn, you may return one of your buried cards to your hand to play this Titan on its base. Special, after a base scores while this Titan is played, you may return one of your buried cards there to your hand. And talent, bury a card from your hand here. So this just focuses on doing that burial and getting more actions out of it. So those are our different Titans. Yes, we're going to get 11 different ones. Again, this will bring us up to just about half if you've also bought the Titans pack and the Big in Japan pack, which had the rest of the Titans in there. That is what we will have for this set. I'm going to pause quick and we're going to put stuff in the box, and then we'll come back. Alright, before I show everything in the storage box, let's do a quick recap of everything. So whether you think this is worth it or not. You'll have to debate on price point, because I think it's like $30, $40. It's more expensive than a typical 4 faction set. The additional stuff you're getting is you're also getting a Titans pack, which is the equivalent of another pack, which are about another $5. You're also getting that big base mode, the coin, first player token, and an art book. So if you don't care about the art book, if you don't really care about the new base game, or you just figure, hey, I can just go download a picture of that offline or just play it that way, or you don't really care about some extra base cards that you could set with the breakpoints on them, if you're just looking at it in terms of just getting the extra new characters, it might not be worth the price unless you're trying to collect all of them. I don't know if they're planning on releasing these characters in separate packs or not. So like I said, the sheep has already been released. You might already own that, so you're only getting the 3. So it's possible the All-Stars might, if they re-release like another storage set or something like that, might come out. I don't know. I can't speak to what the company wants to do with that. Otherwise, if you're just looking at what the actual content is, I think it actually has a lot to offer. At least 3 new factions, which is really fun. The All-Star ones are a really cool idea. The base cards were really fun. More Titans. I love the Titans again. Hope they finish giving them for everybody, just so that way anyone can pick up a set and have a Titan, so one player doesn't feel like uneven versus the other ones. So definitely cool. The box is really neat as well. I just don't know what I'm going to do with it, because it looks cool, but I don't, other than like the display piece, I can't store anything in it because I have the bigger geekier box here, which stores everything. So now adding in the new content is a good and bad thing. Here's also maybe something to keep in mind. So I have the big giant instruction manual. I have the Marvel book because it has information on the Marvel groups. Although now I don't have any information on the new stuff. So I put the big base one and I set the small ones on top of my power tokens. But putting all this stuff in here, because it wasn't designed for it, does extend this up over the top a little bit. So your box won't fit all the way in, and they won't fit in here. Here I just have the extra stuff, like my extra geeky set and extra sheep, and that I just threw in this spot with extra packs like I have. An extra penguin and titan pack. I got my coin. I'm surprised it didn't come with more VP tokens. Like a 10th anniversary one would have been kind of cool. Now, I could pull this out, though, and I'm trying to do this. There is going to be room under there, so I could potentially throw, like, these bases underneath here. But that's only going to solve the problem of those. It won't solve the problem of necessarily anything else. And then if I pull this out, again, I could probably throw the rule books or stuff under here versus having them on the top, and then that tray will just sit on top. That's an alternate way to do it as well. But yeah, so just, sorry, my shaky camera everywhere. But yeah, added in the new 3 factions in here, because I already have the sheep in here. Added my extra bases in here. I still have room for plenty more. And I have the 4th one here is just for the properties, which I'm still missing the Disney one. But once I add it in there, they'll probably just about fill up this side. But I keep all the stuff, the Munchkin and the Marvel, over by itself, all Disney. I'll probably just end up cramming them all together at that point. But yeah, so in this bigger, geekier box, after 10 years of content, I own everything that's been available. I can still put easily a decent another, what's that, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, easily 6 more factions, probably 5, 10, 15. So if each set has 4, I can probably get at least three more expansions in here, or two more big base sets. And then after that, I'll have to start figuring out what I'm going to do. But then even then, I could always take out the Marvel and the Munchkin if I don't plan on combining them, which you definitely can, and put them in a different box. So that's what we have there. That is Smash Up 10th Anniversary. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you later. Bye.